Hi, Mike here. You're watching Scout Restoration Yukon. In this video, I will install the steering box on my 1966 Scout 800. Then I will check to make sure that it's turning equally left and right, because I suspect it will not be turning equally in both directions. I hope you like it. Let's get to work. If you want to help, please subscribe to Scout Restoration Yukon. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out. Hi, Mike here. You're watching Yukon Scout Restoration. I will now install the steering box on the Scout 800. Let's get to work. This is the steering box that I rebuilt in a previous video. It was manufactured by Ross. It's a single lever type steering gear. Quite simple to install. There's only 3 bolts. 2 short ones and one that's a little longer. I'm utilizing flat washers on the bolts because the casing is made of aluminum. And then on the other side there's a nut. So I'm installing the bottom bolt first, the longer bolt, because it's easier. It's the easiest one of them all to get the nut on. So just simply install the 3 bolts with the lock washer and a nut on the other side. 1/2 inch National Fine. It's worth noting that a thin wall 3/4 socket works best. Pretty tight. They'll get rechecked after the vehicle's been driven a couple hundred kilometers. Now I'm ready to install the tie rod onto the Pitman arm. It's just a simple matter of raising this up and then turning the input putting the spring and cup in the hole, starting the threaded plug. Now I'm just going to screw that plug in with my little piece of flat bar screwdriver. Now just screw it in till it's flush and line up the hole for the cotter pin. So that should be flush. Use my little awl to line it up more. Slip the cotter pin in. Split the pin. Line up the seal and the strap like that. And I see the cotter pin has gone onto there. We don't want that. Right. I don't know if you can buy these parts or not, but I managed to salvage some off another scope. Now, I just want to tighten this up a bit. That. There. It's done. Now when we grease it, the rubber seal will keep the grease in. Good to go. To fill this cavity up, all it needs is a few squirts of grease. I'll just keep pumping until the grease comes out. It's a pretty big cavity. There, it starts coming out, which is good. Same thing. It starts coming out, this is good. When I rebuilt the steering box, I had some doubts about the position of the Pitman arm. Nevertheless, I installed the Pitman arm in its original position. After installing the steering box and connecting the tie rod, I tested the steering. I noticed it was turning more to the right-hand side than the left-hand side. I was expecting something like this because some things have been assembled incorrectly. I removed the Pitman arm and reinstalled it in the left-hand drive position. The right-hand drive position was used for U.S. Postal Service delivery vehicles and the many Scouts that were exported to Australia. I cycled the steering to the left-hand side and measured 9 inches from the edge of the spring to the center of the tie rod end. Then I cycled the steering all the way to the right-hand side. My measurement was 9¼ inches. I think this will be okay because at the moment there's 0 toe in. Later, when I've installed new tires and set the toe in, I will recheck the turning radius and adjust the steering knuckle stop screws. Using an 11/16 12-point ratcheting wrench, I'm turning the input shaft on the steering box as far as I can, turning as far as I can to the left. So I'm measuring from the outer edge of the leaf spring to the center of the tie rod end, and it's 9 inches. I'm now cycling the steering box to make extreme right turn. Once again, I'm measuring the leaf spring, and I make it 9¼ inches. Hi, Mike here. You're watching Yukon Scout Restoration. Today, I'm going to lubricate the steering knuckles and the steering box on the Scout 800. I don't want to just put straight gear oil in there because these knuckles are notorious for leaking. Even though everything's new, I just don't think it's a good idea. And I don't want to just pump grease in there. That's not good enough for the U-joint. So what I'm going to do is make a 50-50 mix of synthetic grease and synthetic gear oil. No moly. Moly will damage the brass parts inside. So let's get to work. So I've put ½ liter of synthetic grease into this jug. I will now add ½ liter of gear oil and mix it. That's actually a little more than ½ liter. I'm just curious to see if they even want to mix together or not. The filler for the steering box is this vented plug here on the top of the box. You just have to unscrew that. 5/8 wrench. According to the manual, the steering box holds 6 ounces. All right. It's not actually flowing very well. So see what happens if I warm it up a little bit with the heat gun. Now it's starting to flow. It might take a little time, but I'm going to get it in there. It's been going in there. Let's get a little more in here. A little more heat. I have to burp it every once in a while to let the air out. That actually looks pretty good. It's not over full, that's for sure. You're supposed to fill the box right up, but you never fill anything completely up. We need room for thermal expansion. So what I'm going to do is let that sit for a while and dip it after it's settled down and see where we're at. So now I'm going to fill the steering knuckles. So I'll have a look at that. At the rear of the steering knuckle, there's a ½ inch pipe thread plug. Takes a 5/8 wrench. I'm simply going to fill it up until it runs out and let it level off and then put the plug back in. So I'm going to try using my oil sucker, see if that works or not. May not be the fastest way in the world, and it's probably a little messy. Now I'm going to give it a good stir and warm it up with the heat gun. Let's try that. Certainly works a lot better when it's warm. Going in there, slowly but surely. It's not running out the hole yet. A bit more. Going in. I'm glad I put a clear tube on this suction gun so I can see the air bubbles. I think it's getting full. I'm not sure. Try locking the hob. Turning that. Try looking in there. Yeah, it's fine. It's full of stuff. But I think there's room for more. So I'll give it another little bit more in a minute. I'm going to warm this stuff up again. So I let this one sit for a while and went over and filled up the other side. So I'm just going to see if I can get a little bit more in there. Now, it's full. Perfect. Just have to put the plugs in, clean up the mess, There's one more thing done. So that worked out well. Everything's full of oil. We'll just leave them for a while, let them settle down. And later on, when I fill the differential with gear oil, I can just top them up if need be. So it's done, except for cleaning up the mess. In conclusion, my Scout now has a really good steering box. Just what a Concours restoration needs. The mixture of synthetic grease and synthetic gear oil probably won't leak out of the knuckles or the steering box and won't be a problem in extreme cold. My next video will be fuel tank installation. I hope you like it. If you want to help, please subscribe to Scout Restoration Yukon. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out.